And unfortunately, Europe's problem today has become the world's problem.
Europe has to grow out of the mindset that Europe's problems are the world's problems, but the world's problems are not Europe's problems.
Russia and China were the only two countries that made clear that they would not sign on to that text.
And we cannot allow the very foundations of international law to be threatened, without which only military force would be taken into account, and every state in the world would risk being invaded by its neighbor. These are not only the interests of the European countries, these are the common goods for the coexistence of all countries of the world. We cannot sit idly in the face of this, with this provocation at the heart of the UN Charter, which threatens to undermine stability across the globe. And we cannot allow the law of the strongest to overcome the strength of law. I know that there are many who feel that Europe has in the past failed to acknowledge that the world's problems are also its own. And perhaps until the past few years, our geopolitical stance has been less vocal than it could have been. This is no longer the case. And initiatives such as the EU strategy for the Indo-Pacific demonstrate that our views have indeed broadened. Regional affairs rapidly turn into global affairs in today's interconnected world. And unfortunately, Europe's problem today has become the world's problem.
Number one, why I wanted to interrupt you in a way. I mean, I'm partly reacting to the previous observation. Somewhere Europe has to grow out of the mindset that Europe's problems are the world's problems, but the world's problems are not Europe's problems. That if it is you, it's yours. If it is me, it's ours. I think that's something, and I see, reflections of that. Again, in terms of, there is a linkage today which is being made. A linkage between China and India and what's happening in Ukraine. So come on, guys. I mean, China and India happened way before anything happened in Ukraine.
Russian war of aggression against Ukraine disrupt global energy prices, endangered food security, and sent waves of inflation across the world to the detriment of the most vulnerable, especially in the global south.
We met here in Delhi roughly 1 year after President Putin launched his war of aggression on Ukraine, and 1 week after 141 countries voted in the United Nations General Assembly for a resolution that expresses support for a comprehensive, just, and lasting peace, in accordance with the United Nations Charter and its principles of sovereignty and territorial integrity, and deplores the human rights and humanitarian consequences of Russia's aggression. Not a single G20 member voted with Russia to oppose that resolution. The chair's statement by India today reaffirmed the declaration issued by the G20 leaders last year in Bali, which, and I quote, strongly condemned the war in Ukraine and stressed it is causing immense human suffering and exacerbating existing fragilities in the global economy, end quote. Russia and China were the only two countries that made clear that they would not sign on to that text.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.